When the market feels uncertain, a lot of people either freeze, and that may be you, or they start setting career goals that aren't really grounded in reality, I guess we could say, right? So neither one of them helps at all. I think the mistake I see most often is that people are trying to predict the market instead of focusing on what they can actually control. And so we're going to get into some of those things you can focus on. I'm going to talk about how to set career goals for this year, especially for um, mid-career professionals, right? In an uncertain market. And I'm going to talk about it in a way that keeps you strategic and it keeps you moving forward, even when there are things far outside of your control. Let's talk about it. So, if we haven't met already, I am Christina, talent acquisition lead, over 15 years of experience in the space. I've been coaching for well over a decade, and really focus on helping mid-career professionals get clear on what it is that they want for these next steps, and ensure that they move forward with a level of confidence and alignment every step of the way. Of course, we focus mainly on remote opportunities, six-figure remote opportunities, but we flex, right? We look at hybrid as well. So I speak from that level of experience. So let's get into what I'm not only seeing now, but what I've seen in previous years as a coach. So, first of all, my guidance now and probably always will be to focus on what you can control. There are a lot of things that you can control. There is a lot of noise right now, a lot of noise, and sometimes you will find me sharing some data points that are like unnerving. But there's still things that you can do to kind of keep moving forward. So one of those things would be your skills, right? How many different ways, even when budget constraints exist from your personal finance perspective, how many different ways can you actually gain additional skills? I've talked about some of them in a previous video, um, but I'll say that I mean they're Google it. If there's something you want to learn, there is a chance that there is even a free entry level course somewhere online for you to test it out. If you haven't done so already, get a free trial for LinkedIn Learning. You can find a low cost course on Coursera. Some schools, some universities actually offer free courses from time to time. So know that you have options. Know that those options are budget friendly, and know that you can then take those skills and add them to your resume and add them to your LinkedIn profile to position you for more success in this market. But I think as you start to set your goals for this year, think about the skills. And let me just say something. So I'll say this year, um, I know I'm not the only one, so I'll speak on it. I don't set goals for a full 12-month period. I set goals for 12 weeks at a time. For me, it's just significantly more helpful to focus on those bites. And there are other reasons. I can certainly get into those another day if you're interested. But so the year might look different for each of us. Doesn't matter when you start your year, it's personal to you. And as you set goals for your year, think about how you can gain additional skills so that you can compete in what is shaping up to be a challenging job market. Another thing is education, right? So I think that's along the same lines. But beyond skills, for some of you, you have a desire to either obtain a degree or a certificate in something. So, some of you know that I have two HR designations. Um, I got one early in the field and I got the second one as soon as it became available. Somewhere in there, I also got a master's in HR. I love learning. I love education. I know how, a couple of things. It has positioned me for success. It has significantly impacted the level of confidence with which I not only search for opportunities, but also interview for opportunities. The way I contribute to the forward movement of the organization, of the team. Like it has changed me in a major way. Um, but of course, when it comes to negotiating salary, hello, somebody, that is uh, a point that I like to bring up because it's recent. And I do bring a fresh set of um, credentials, right, to the team. So something to think about. In a market like this, if you've been putting off getting that degree and it is within budget, another video. Another video, we will get into my thoughts on the cost of degrees. That said, and this is part of how I was able to attain my degree, was how about I have my employer pay for a portion of it. Now, here's the thing, and this is not. It's the case. In most instances that I've seen, I'm not aware of any outliers, but if you are, let me know. Where you cannot just use your employer to get a degree and then jump ship without there being some expectation of reimbursement for the monies they paid for your education. There's usually the expectation that you commit to a certain length of time of employment. Positioning and branding. Those are things like I'm running through things you can focus on, you can control, and that I want you to focus on when it comes to your career goals. So, your positioning, how you show up, how you are networking, how you are presenting on LinkedIn and any other platform, right? What does that look like? That is something you can control. How you engage with others on LinkedIn, that is something you can control. Do you want to commit to showing up, once a week on your LinkedIn page? Like that is something I think is doable. Um, Once every 2 weeks, whatever the goal is. Again, we're focusing on what we can control. So, what does that look like for you? Do you want to reach out to a former colleague once a week? Offer a quick tea to catch up or whatever, a coffee, something along those lines. And then the other thing I'll say, because this sometimes gets lost, is effort consistency. So, how much effort are you putting in? And are you consistent with that effort? And I'd even take it a step further and talk about the quality of your effort. And I'm saying that because some will say, well, Christina, I apply for 20 jobs a week. Okay, every week? Yep. Okay, so that's effort and that's consistency. But what about the quality? How many of those 20 jobs did you want? How long did it take you to apply for the 20 jobs? How many of them did you want? How much of that time was wasted and could have been used for other things, skills, education, networking, posting on LinkedIn? Like, I just want to make sure it's quality effort and that you're consistent with that, not just effort. Do you know what I mean? So that's something you can focus on this year, this quarter, however you're planning. And that's focusing on what you can control. The other thing I'd say, in a market such as this, and I'm, of course, talking to my mid-career professionals, um, in a market like this one, I need you to be honest about your priorities. I need you to be honest about what matters most to you and I should say, an unstable season. So, are we focusing on income or are we focusing on flexibility? Not saying you can't have both, but if you're honest with yourself, which one is more important to you? income or flexibility? Are we focusing on growth or are we focusing on stability? Which one is more important to you? Not if you had to pick one, which one would you pick? Are we, looking at exploration or are we looking at execution? So many things you can think about. Maybe when you're jotting these things down, I want you to really get clear on what your priorities are in this season, because that's important. Um, Another thing I'll add, and this has come up. So if you don't know, every week I do take a break for a year end, but every week I send a list of remote opportunities, high paying remote opportunities to my email community. I actually had someone reach out to me once to say, I'd never heard of some of these companies. And I was wondering if they wanted a response. Um, Yeah, they reached out. Someone reached out and said, Christina, I've never heard of some of these companies. Mhm, that's possible. I don't know who we think we are. I don't know who we humans think we are. Um, it is possible that there are organizations that exist in your industry that you've never heard of. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Just means you've never heard of it. And this is an opportunity for you to learn about it. This is an opportunity for you to do some research. I have worked at some pretty large organizations. If I named a few, you know them. Not going to. Some pretty large ones. I am fine with working for a smaller organization that maybe not everyone knows. And again, we are talking about setting career goals in a challenging market, right? If you are going to just hold on and say, nope, if it's not Meta, if it's not, I could run down the list. If it's not uh, JP Morgan Chase, if it's not, ooh, won't list that one. If it's not some of these big names that everyone has heard of, then I'm not interested. To which I say you're doing yourself a disservice. Think outside the box, first of all. First of all, there are organizations outside of these borders. And when I say these borders, I'm talking about the US. Plenty of them that hire employees based here in the US. So if you're limiting yourself to just organizations that you've heard of here, we're not getting anywhere like that. Think a little bit more broadly when it comes to your career goals and when it comes to this next chapter in your career. So when you are plugging away at outlining, and I hope all of you have set some 2026 goals or some Q1 2026 goals or some for this particular 12-week period goals, whatever it is, or whatever year in which you're watching it. It could be 2027 by the time you see this. Um, I want you to focus on what you can control, right? We talked about the skills, we talked about the education, we talked about the positioning and the branding, we talked about effort consistency, quality effort consistency. We talked about being honest about your priorities, right? What's most important to you, not saying you can't have both, but what is most important. And then open your mind to other possibilities that may not align with names that you've seen in the news or on social platforms. There's so much more to the world than just what we know today. And so when I send that list of remote opportunities, it is to open your mind just a little bit more to what the possibilities are outside of what's immediately in front of you. And I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. Um, I'm saying it from a place of love and, of course, wanting you to succeed. Familiar doesn't always mean stable. Being clear about your priorities, I think, will outperform almost any market condition. So, regardless of what the market is like, that's going to be important. And you don't need certainty to make progress. You need focus. You don't need certainty to make progress. You need focus. If you are trying to set goals in this market and want a sounding board to think them through strategically, that is exactly what we do in the career clarity session. I will pop the link below. My hope is that this has helped. If it resonates with you, certainly hit that like button, hit that share button. If you are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe. If you are on other platforms, please go ahead and give me a follow. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.